Picture this. It's 1932, and the Australian military is about to engage in one of history's most unusual conflicts. Their enemy, not foreign invaders or rebels, but 20,000 large, flightless birds. This is the story of the Great Emu War, where machine guns met feathers, and somehow the birds came out victorious. To understand how this bizarre war began, we need to go back to the aftermath of World War I. Australia had promised its returning veterans land grants in Western Australia, specifically in the Wheat Belt region around Campion and Walgoolan. These men had fought bravely overseas and deserved their chance at a new life. But farming in Western Australia proved to be its own kind of war. The Great Depression hit hard, wheat prices plummeted, and then came the rabbits. The government had built a massive fence to keep rabbits out of the agricultural areas, but this fence would soon serve a very different purpose. Every year around November, something extraordinary happened in the Australian outback. 20,000 emus would begin their annual migration from the interior toward the coast, following ancient pathways in search of food and water. But 1932 was different. The drought had been particularly harsh, pushing the emus further than usual in their desperate search for sustenance. When they reached the farmlands, they found something irresistible. Acres and acres of cultivated crops, fresh water from irrigation systems, and soft ground perfect for nesting. The farmers watched in horror as their crops disappeared almost overnight. Each emu could consume up to a pound of grain per day, but the real damage came from their massive feet. 20,000 birds trampling through wheat fields created paths of destruction that stretched for miles. The farmers tried everything they could think of: scarecrows, noisemakers, fires, even attempting to herd the birds away manually. But emus are remarkably intelligent creatures, and they quickly adapted to every strategy the farmers employed. Desperate and facing financial ruin, the farmers turned to their local Member of Parliament, Sir George Pearce, who happened to be the Minister of Defence. The farmers' request was unprecedented. They wanted the military to deploy soldiers with machine guns to eliminate the emu threat. Surprisingly, Pearce agreed to this unusual request. Perhaps he saw it as a training exercise for his peacetime army, or maybe he genuinely believed a few machine guns could solve the problem quickly. On November 2nd, 1932, the war officially began. Major G.P.W. Meredith was placed in command of the operation, leading a force of 2 soldiers, 2 Lewis machine guns, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, against 20,000 emus. The first engagement took place near Campion, where the soldiers spotted a flock of about 50 emus. At 600 yards, they opened fire. The results were disappointing. Only a handful of birds fell, while the rest scattered with remarkable speed. What the military hadn't anticipated was the emu's incredible agility. These birds could run up to 30 miles per hour, change direction instantly, and seemed almost impossible to hit. Major Meredith quickly realized that traditional military tactics weren't going to work against this unconventional enemy. The emus seemed to develop their own counter-strategies. They would post sentries while the flock fed, and at the first sign of soldiers, the entire group would vanish into the scrubland like ghosts. Day after day, the soldiers trudged through the outback, chasing shadows and burning through ammunition with little to show for it. Meanwhile, the emus continued their agricultural rampage, almost as if they were taunting their human adversaries. After 6 days of this futile campaign, the soldiers had fired nearly 3,000 rounds and killed fewer than 50 birds. The math was brutal. It was taking about 60 bullets per emu. Major Meredith requested reinforcements, but instead, the government decided to withdraw the military entirely. The Great Emu War was officially over, and the emus had won a decisive victory. The Australian press had a field day with the story. Headlines like "Feathered foes too fast for gunners" appeared across the country, turning the military into a laughingstock. One journalist famously wrote that the emus had won every round and displayed a complete disregard for military tactics. But the farmers' problems were far from over. The emus returned in even greater numbers the following year, as if they had somehow communicated that the humans posed no real threat. Eventually, the government offered bounties for emu kills, which proved far more effective than military intervention. Professional shooters using different tactics and local knowledge succeeded where machine guns had failed. Today, the Great Emu War stands as one of history's most unusual military defeats, a reminder that nature doesn't always bow to human technology. The emus of Western Australia continue to migrate each year, following the same ancient paths their ancestors used when they defeated the Australian Army in 1932. And somewhere in the outback, if you listen carefully, you might just hear the echo of their victory call.